So by now, all of you know it's 76 years of which we celebrate Israel's birthday. But the number 76 is misleading. Yes, I know that many of our students, Sinai Temple Religious School, Sinai Akiba Academy, can answer with confidence. Listen to the question. When did Israel become a state? In 1948. Israel has not merely been part of the Jewish story. Israel is the Jewish story. Because when God speaks with Abraham, the very first Jew, and establishes a brit, a covenant, God says, Lech lecha, leave your home, leave everything you've ever known, and go to the land that I will show you. That promised land being Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't get more indigenous than that. But this morning isn't about convincing anyone about Israel's right to exist. I don't need to do that here with all of you. No, today, as we said, this very moment is about celebration. Today is about recognizing those that have struggled, those that have persevered over the course of Jewish history so that we are able to say with pride and love, Israel is the Jewish home. Why is Israel a miracle? Israel is a miracle because it is a country whose architecture, its bricks and mortar are made from the materials of courage and faith. Israel is constructed through dreams. You see, as the Warsaw Ghetto was in its final days of liquidation, a very small group of Jews were able to escape, climbing through the Warsaw sewers, enduring a 30-hour treacherous journey. It was their last attempt for freedom. But somehow these Jews managed to travel through the sewers. They found their way into a Polish furniture factory and somehow then managed to get on a truck. And this truck hid them and smuggled them through the streets of Warsaw, finally getting to the edges of the forest. But of course, we know that that forest, well, it wasn't safe. There was no food, there was no water, and everywhere these Jews looked, there were Nazis hunting for them. The attempts for survival were very difficult. Antek Zuckerman and Sivia Lebekin survived the ghetto. They survived this escape. And somehow, these two Jews made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. Zuckerman and Lubekin were among the original founders of Kibbutz Lohamei HaGetot. It's a kibbutz in northern Galilee. Listen to what it's translated as, the Ghetto Fighters Kibbutz. Because they wanted to send a stark message. There were Jews in the Shoah, Jews in the Holocaust that fought back, that fought with their entire being to see their dream become a reality, to live in the land of Israel. Well, these two grandparents, they witnessed the birth of their granddaughter, Roni Zuckerman. And on June 29th, 2001, Roni Zuckerman became the first female fighter pilot in the Israeli Air Force. But this is Israel. Because imagine, from the ghettos of Warsaw to flying above the skies in the Galilee, Israel is the physical and spiritual manifestation of our ancestors' prayers. A country that was built with the intention that their grandchildren would never hide their Judaism, would never have to flee in the middle of the night in fear of persecution. The words "never again" were actualized through their blood, their sweat, their tears, of those that survived so that we could all sit here and have an Israel to call our home. Why is Israel a miracle? Because we never expected in Israel, we never expected a homeland filled with treasures or abundance. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs tells the story of his great-grandfather. In 1871, Rabbi Aryeh Leib Franken left his home in Lithuania in order to live in Eretz Yisrael. Why? No big surprise. Anti-Semitism, pogroms, and he knew that if he was going to stay alive, that emigrating to Eretz Yisrael was really his only chance. Well, he moved to one of the first agricultural settlements. But of course, this agricultural settlement, well, this was a place, a swamp filled with disease. In fact, several farmers contracted malaria, people got sick, others left. But his great-grandfather decided to build the very first home on that swamp. And Rabbi Sachs says he was astounded by the name of that first village because there was a nickname. This was kind of like, what are we going to name this terrible place? So first they thought, okay, it's a swamp, but really, you know what, this is a valley of trouble. But then the Zionists recalled an early verse from our tradition gifted to us from the prophet Hosea, in which God promised to turn a valley of trouble into a valley of hope. And so the name that they decided to give that very first village, the village that existed on this malarial swamp, well, today, that first village is currently the 6th largest town in Israel, a thriving, beautiful metropolis. It's none other than Petach Tikva. Yes, translated as not one of trouble, but as a gateway of hope. Because we don't forget David Ben-Gurion's vision for Israel to make the desert bloom. Israel is the embodiment of transformation because the Jews were able to take an unthinkable, an unlivable, an unfathomable place, and with their hopes and ties to the prayers of those that have come before us, create a home. Just one more lesson. Why is Israel a miracle? Why is Israel special? Rabbi Sachs suggests that Israel is a land that causes you to look towards the heavens. Because as I said, Israel's located in an area of barrenness. It's an area that really, when we say flowing with milk and honey, it's not flowing with milk and honey. In fact, in Devarim, Moses reminds the Israelites, you know, the land that you're about to enter, it's not like the land of Egypt from which you have come, where you have planted your seed and irrigated it by foot as if you were in a vegetable garden. But it's the land that the Lord your God cares for. The eyes of the Lord your God continually are on it from the beginning of the year to the end. In other words, says Rabbi Sachs, Israel is a land that links geography with spirituality. He says the seasons are unpredictable. It takes innovation for agriculture to thrive. Israel will constantly be threatened, as we see, by enemies on every side, which means Israel is a miracle. Because we, the Jewish people, know every single day that we must solidify our partnership with God to assure her survival. We have no other choice. It's our commitment as the people of Israel to guarantee that the land of Israel exists for generations to come. Our ancestors understood the assignment, but our time has come to pay attention. As the prophet Zechariah said, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. Despite the many odds against her, with God's spirit, with the dreams and hopes of our ancestors, and with our unwavering commitment as a Jewish people, Am Yisrael Chai, Israel will live forever and ever, because Israel, you are our miracle. Happy birthday. Shabbat Shalom.